Hey everybody, welcome to another exciting, I think they're exciting, interview with one of the authors from the Born to Rise book project, Lisa Roche. Gosh, I don't even know how to, I just feel like we're kindred spirits. I feel like I've known you and will continue to know you for the rest of my life or in previous lives or something. I am always blown away when we talk. Your little nuggets of wisdom are just amazing. I love the programs that you put out in your program Spirit Calling and your community Spirit Calling. You're a Reiki master. You have this beautiful way that you help people heal that is, gosh, it feels like it's on another level. And I'll let you talk about that, but welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I know I feel the same way. Right from the very first second that we met, I was like, oh, she's family, you know?
I know we keep talking about the body chills, and I think there's something that, transcends space and time. You're in New Jersey, right? Or Long Island.
I am. I am.
But there's something there. So tell everybody just a little bit about you.
I love your questions. I love your questions. And I know that all of your authors are getting the same questions. But the way that these questions, if you sit in them, they kind of cut you open and lay you bare if you allow them to, right? I could be really very surface, but I thought, no. So my chapter is, your book is all about rising. And so my chapter is about this next rendition of myself. So I wanted to take the time to be really deliberate about my answers. So your first question, tell us a little bit about yourself. So simple, just a couple of words, right? Yeah, no. I am a soul. I am a soul whose purpose is to exist in peace. That's who I am, right? I know. That's who we all are. If we know it, and if you take time to really focus on who you are, you're a soul who wants to live and exist in peace. When I was little, I'm probably going to cry, right? When I was little, my grandfather said to me, and he was a really quiet Japanese man, just really super quiet. But he said to me, at the end of the day, the only person that matters is the one you see in the mirror.
Wow.
And can you look that person in the eyes? So I always challenge people. Every time you go into the mirror and you're doing your hair, your makeup, and you're brushing your teeth or whatever, actually check in to see if you look yourself in the eyes. You're going to notice that you don't. You're going to really notice that you don't. So I try to take time to look at myself in the eyes every single day. And that keeps me in check with, am I living on purpose?
Yeah.
Am I my soul living its purpose to exist in peace? And in that allows me to show up in all of these different roles, right? As wife and mother and friend, daughter, teacher, and healer. And that word healer, it comes up in my chapter. My entire story is about that. The claiming of, the stepping into, the rising into that word healer. And listen, that doesn't mean that I don't live without struggle. I absolutely live in struggle. I am intentional in my struggle. I will recognize it and give it grace and space and gratitude, because through that I grow, right? Through that we all grow. Through that we all grow.
Yeah. Yeah. And I so agree with that piece about living intentionally.
Mm,
What is your intention every day? And it's a
yeah.
sit within in meditation a lot is, you know, what even if I'm reflecting on something I just did, or maybe I don't feel so good about,
Mhm.
great about, or what was my intention? And even when I create programs, right, or the Born to Rise book, or Brian and I sat down with this. What is our intention with this book? We wanted to
Yes.
make sure we were extremely intentional about how to support the authors, about what kind of stories, about how to, put on the event that we're going to have. But
It
So
keeps you on purpose.
yes, be on purpose.
Yeah.
Love that. So I mean, going into that, what is rising?
Oh, I mean, huge question, right? So rising for me is synonymous with awakening. And that means embracing your journey to become the actualization, the version of your soul that should be living its highest purpose. So for me, that's what rising is. Rising is that awakening. And people talk about awakening all the time. And for me, that's it. How are you going to rise into being your best self? And it could be something as simple as like, you've been incarnated into a really shitty life. Okay, how are you going to pull yourself up out of that? Because it's up to you. How are you going to pull yourself up out of that and start getting closer and closer to living in peace? Because if you're sitting in shit and you get yourself out, am I allowed to curse?
Go for it.
But if you're able to get yourself out of that shit, then you are closer to living in peace. Sometimes it's just like the anti, right? The opposite of. And then when you're really out of the shit and you start really figuring out who you are and living that blessed life, I always laugh at the hashtag blessed. Um, like, because people think like, oh, you were given all this great stuff. You were never given anything. You fought fucking hard to get there, right? So hashtag blessed, whatever, means you're hashtag working hard in life. As far as I'm concerned, or you did, or you paid your dues and you worked your way through, and you earned it. Um, I feel like in my life I've done both. I feel like I have dragged myself out of the shit of life to stand in a place of healing. And now from that place, I get I get to live in the opportunity of expanded levels of peace. So my husband always would say you transition from lowest lows into just higher lows, and then lower highs, and then higher highs. Right. And if you do your work and you're constantly focused on healing, 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 you get into these higher highs, which is where I feel like I am now. So rising, the concept of rising for me is more of this, ironically, an inward journey
Oh yeah.
of ascension, right? Ascension into these new levels of self.
Yeah.
There's no hierarchy for me. It's always like a 360-degree growth. How do you raise vibration? How do you expand into a better, bigger sense of self? And how do you show up as more all the time?
Yeah. And it's funny because, even writing my own story, which I feel like I've done a couple of times,
Mm-hmm.
I realize how many things and events and experiences and relationships I've had that were so necessary and so informative when I'm able to sit back and reflect and say, gosh, this has been with me from the get-go. This
Mm-hmm.
desire, this awakening that needed to happen, to get to my rise as well.
Yeah.
Writing the story, I keep reflecting, like I wrote about some experiences in one story, and I wrote about, that little transformation that I made in that point. But then there's this overarching piece, like you're talking about the soul and being at peace. And for me, it was discovering what true connection,
Yeah.
like connecting with that soul. How do I connect with that? Because I crave deep, intimate connection through
Yeah.
loving experience of some sort. And so my whole life was about moving around, leaving people, sort of like floating in this space of like, where's the connection? So,
Right.
right. And so it's like our story can be so huge, and then there's all these micro things within it that we keep rising and right. Oh,
Yeah. Oh,
when
there's more and more and more and more.
when
Yeah.
and that's what I feel like is so key here, is that it takes that piece of finding that awareness so that you can see it all.
Yeah.
Which I love.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know that you do as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking like the word rise also has this beautiful almost incantation of the vision of flight and freedom, so that you're able to gain perspective, right? You're able to just back away or rise up above, but you're able to pan out and really start observing. And it's the same thing in every aspect of life. I mean, from where we are, we can turn outwards and look at the universe and see how things have risen and expanded to just create life as it is. And then you turn your perspective and notice, okay, so the same for the universe is the same for our planet, is the same for a person, is the same for a cell, is the same for a relationship, is the same for an experience, right? It's everything is the same. And once I love that you said you were searching for connection.
But it was
And so you left and you searched and you left and you searched and you ended and you, right? When really all you had to do was say, okay, wait a second. If I'm looking for connection, how about I connect to myself first?
exactly. And that
Right? And from there, you expand and connect out. Yeah.
what's fortunately I've gotten to is that, oh, I see. It's not about
Oh, right.
everybody else, and everyone else isn't going to give me what I need, right? It's going to be going inward and finding that place where we are at peace and in love with this beingness, and then we can connect on beyond what we could ever dream, of course.
I mean, it's incredible, right? And then you go, oh, wait a second. That's the real meaning of recycling.
I love that. Yeah.
Right. It's not just about like putting my plastics in my glass and right. It's actually the act of caring,
Yeah.
right? And taking the time and intention to separate and clean and make sure, right? The act of caring goes out into the world to come back to you. The act of caring for an empty bottle allows it to go back, get cleaned, and recycled into something else to turn up in your life.
Yeah.
Maybe it's another bottle, maybe not, maybe it's a couch, right?
Yeah.
But like when you think about it like that in such simplistic terms, well, holy shit, yeah, of course. You're like, what the fuck? Like, why was that so difficult? If I care for myself, if I take the time to care and love for myself, then that's what I'm putting out into the world. And then that's what comes back to me.
That's right. And
It's
that,
so simple.
and it's something that it's just changed. It's changed my life, and it took a very profound moment to sort of see it. But when you do, it's that, it's been my story for a while. This
Me too.
who held that space for me to really go, oh, So, and I know you're doing that for people. You're providing that service by helping people see. And I think in some ways it's we either get it in a flash or we get it over time. And so
Yes.
here's my next question, right? Is like, what does it mean to explore your stories?
Mm.
Talking about that. Like we're talking about these experiences in our lives that awaken us or help us rise gradually. And then there's also those wham, right? The ones that really like knock us over because either we're ready for it or we haven't gotten it yet. It's like someone's going, not ready.
We are out of time. It's and I love that you said that because if what you're noticing right now is this rapid ascension of people, this rapid rising of people, this rapid awakening, right? The great awakening. And it's here and people are recognizing. And I think COVID did a lot to ignite that, right? We got this break from being unintentional, not deliberate, and just blinders on, fulfilling what we thought was our purpose, when really it was just your job, and it was a role that you chose, and you're blindly going through life like that. And then COVID happened, and it all gets shot to shit, and you're sitting around going, well, actually, it really wasn't that important for me to attend a meeting, to plan another meeting, to schedule that other meeting, right? Like that was stupid. How about we be really super intentional with our time now, right? Because we were all combining every aspect of our life into one unit. you're working from home, you are eating in your homes, you are living with your family, everybody's going to school from your homes, right? Everything is happening in this one area. Now all of a sudden you're like, well, shit, I've got nowhere to escape to. So how do I make it all work? And you started cordoning off these little areas of your home. You started communicating with people, like, okay, I'm going to need 45 minutes of quiet. And now you're talking about relationships. Like, I think COVID was this beautiful period of time to have everything slow down, where you started to realize what was important. And everybody started to realize, notice what was really important. What you saw flashing on the news like every fucking day was Johnny can't hug his grandma. Susie visited her grandma through a window. This family is visiting on their front lawn through some piece of plastic to keep their loved ones safe. So what we recognized was relationships are the number one thing. Number one was relationships. Number two was your health.
Yeah.
Right. So all of a sudden, your job went from being here to, I mean, not just bottom on the list, but like really far down on the list of, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I'm going to go and hang out outside with my mom. Like, I'm not going to make it to the meeting because I have this opportunity to go scream at my dad from 20 feet away. Right. And so you started to do things like that. And I think that made people awaken very quickly. So the masses have figured out what's important through taking away disruption and distraction. They were hyper focused, forced to be hyper focused on what's important. And what you wind up finding out is what's important is your soul's purpose, right? And every single soul has the exact same purpose: to live in peace.
Yeah.
And what's the best way to live in peace is to actually fill your life intentionally with what brings you love, what brings you joy and care, what brings you that feeling of, oh, the burners aren't on all the way, right? I get to live my life. So that's why I think it's really important that there are books like yours, books like ours, where we get to share our stories. I think they're beautiful opportunities for people to learn about themselves through somebody else's experience.
Yeah.
Right? They learn a truth by hearing truth, and it ignites this possibility of being more, of living fuller, to having more. And what cracks me up is that like pretty much sums up my life. I went along with my life, great mom, great wife, right, doing all the things. And then I didn't know that when I was young, I didn't know that I had the opportunity to dream of living where I live right now. Didn't know that was a possibility until someone said, have you ever thought? It was my husband. We were on the verge of moving across country. Well, maybe we can find our dream across country, right? And he looked at me one day and he said, why can't we build our life right here? Why can't we? And I went, well, like such a simple statement, right? And I was like, what the? Yeah.
Well, it's like the old story was, oh, we have to move across country to be able to, and that's the thing
Start new.
Right. So we're sort of in that little chip, 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 going along.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden there's a COVID, or there's a disruption, or there's something that makes us go, oh, there's a possibility in that, what you just said, right? And so,
right.
And those are the places where I love saying, what is the story we've been telling ourselves, and what's the one we can sort of rewrite and make it the freaking fairy tale that you deserve to live in, and
deserve. Can you say that again?
Deserve to, and I even find myself fighting that deserving thing so much.
Yeah.
Background, like, oh, you got to be perfect. And it's been something that's bubbling up a lot, because of course, all of a sudden, you going along, doing all the things. Look how much I've got this going on. Woohoo. And then the thing that for me in particular, wanting that connection was completely stripped, for those few years in a lot of ways. Yet there was a deeper connection that came out of it
Yes.
because I was intentionally, like you said, paying attention to the people that really, really matter.
Yes.
So I
Yes.
love seeing all of that. Well, Lisa, I know your story is going to be amazing, and you probably have a gazillion of them. But I'm going to be posting all of your information below this so that people can figure out how to work with you if they want to, and definitely to just at least follow along and maybe even join the spirit calling if they are people who are wanting to awaken even more. We've got lots of great modalities and ways to do that. So thank you for your candor this morning and just being who you are. I cannot wait to hear more from you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for putting this together. You're giving the world a gift, and that I do not say that, on a whim or take it lightly. You're giving the world a gift, and not just the authors who get to express, but it's literally everybody who's going to pick up a copy and read it. You're giving them the gift of ignition.
Yeah.
I hope you recognize that. I hope you get that you are handing a flame to every single person who gets to read those pages. And it's life changing. It really is. It's life changing.
Yeah, thank you so much for saying that. I'm taking that in. Yeah, big time. Big time. Well, more from you later, I'm sure. All right, Lisa, thank you.
Thank you.